Hello, everybody. Good day. My name is Victor Onyenagubom, and I'm a cybersecurity lecturer at Teesside University, London. And in addition to that, I used to be a volunteer ambassador for Cloud Study Native Group that promotes the study of cloud native technologies. And I've previously spoken a couple of Con 42 events. And last year, I spoke at the Microsoft office around Kubernetes. I love the cloud community. Even though I'm a cybersecurity person, I love the cloud community and I have given a couple of talks around the cloud community. So without much ado, I would just want to talk about the human side of cloud engineering, soft skills, cloud engineering, DevOps, everything you do, GitHub, Python. These are all very technical things in in IT. Basically, you have the technical skills and it can only get more technical, right? But we're going to look at why soft skills are important. In my university, for instance, we've started letting students take trainings in soft skills, not just the academic coursework. Part of their studies is also graded around soft skills. We're going to be looking at why soft skills are important for you as a cloud engineer or a software developer, why that can actually help you. Okay, without much ado, let's start. I'm going to keep to 20 minutes. Yeah. Of course, as we all know, yeah, we're all very skilled. Before much earlier in the day, people were valued. You would get valued for your technical skill as a cloud engineer. You know how to code. You can do Python. You can do JavaScript, Java. Then again, most of the time you had to interact only with your technical colleagues, right? So you didn't really need to have any soft skills or any type of human personality skills. You can be coding from morning to night and texting your colleague updates to push the GitHub push and pull request and all that. But we're in the transition period now, right? You have to work in cross-functional teams. And this means that you, who is a cloud engineer, you might need to interface with the HR manager, or you might even need to interface with the construction manager or somebody that is not technical at all. So how do you cope with this? How do you break down technical concept into non-technical bits that a simple person can actually understand? Okay, so basically it's very important. The idea behind this talk is that you need to have a well-rounded personality. While you have technical expertise, it needs to be blended with interpersonal abilities. Yes, you have the technical expertise, but are you easy to work with? Yes, you have technical expertise, but when shit hits the fan, for instance, when the project doesn't go well, somebody calls in sick, how do you behave? Do you have teamwork skills? Are you easy to work with? Is it easy for anybody to do things with you? Or do you have a terrible personality, even though you're really good at your job? When we talk about soft skills for cloud engineers, we're looking at basically it goes higher than this. There's supposed to be emotional intelligence on this particular slide, but it's about five here I've listed from communication. I was talking about the importance of communication, the fact that you're able to break down the technical things you do is very important. You can see the previous speaker before me, what he has put on the board. If you have an IT background, fine. You understand that, oh, that's what a PyCharm, this is a code, is an IDE. But somebody who doesn't really understand what's happening, how do you break that down? How do you make it make sense to the CEO of a company who is just interested in profitability? Problem solving. How do you get around solving problems that are not familiar to you? Do you approach problems the same way? Because, for instance, today we have AI. We have AI. There are certain issues posed by AI to maybe some of the cloud things you do. There needs to be you need to think. Do you think differently when you're faced with a different kind of problem, right? Adaptability. How do you adapt? Like I said, if for instance a team member calls in sick, how do you behave? If you're short-staffed, how do you cope? If you have to work longer hours, how do you communicate that? Or if you can't make it to a project launch, how do you communicate? Collaboration. How do you collaborate effectively with every other person? So, in addition to technical skills, things like this, your critical thinking, very important. Okay, so looking at it one by one, I'm talking about the need for technical translation, being able to explain cloud concept. The concept of cloud engineering is so important in our world today because many organizations are moving from on-premise systems to cloud-based systems, right? But then again, some of them are scared. They are scared of having a third-party storage system where they have no control over their storage or their database, right? If you have all the technical skill and your product is the best, for those of us that are founders there and your product is the best, but you can't explain to the retailers or the banks as regards why your product is the best, why your product is going to give them the competitive advantage, or how much cost saving they can actually make with using your product, then it's not going to benefit you. So documentation very important. In cybersecurity, we have what we call ethical hackers and penetration testers. And while you have to have a lot of technical skill to be a penetration tester, you also need to write reports after a penetration test. Now, if you do not have, if you do not think clearly, if you can't write documentation properly, if you can't document stages and steps properly, then it's a problem. In addition to what you need to work on your writing skills. If you know that even how you write your emails, it counts. How you're able to explain things via emails, how you're able to explain things via a Teams message, so important. And active listening. This comes in very handy when there is like a conflict situation. There are different when you're faced with a problem, there could be different ways this can be solved. Maybe a section of your team is divided out. We can solve this in this way, and we'll spend less time. But you are feeling that okay, even though we're going to spend less time, we're going to spend more money. In that scenario, what is going to help? Active listening, right? Being able to listen and come to a middle ground with your colleagues. Very important, guys. These soft skills. So basically, when we talk about problem solving, I don't know why there's a graphic. There's supposed to be a graphics here in the middle of this stuff. So when we talk about problem solving, we're talking about you being able to identify the issues. First of all, it's a 4-step process from what I've listed here. It's about you being able to identify the issues involved, being able to analyze the constraint. For each of you, if you're working in an organization, each organization has a different business process. For you to develop a cloud solution for that business, you will not be able to develop an effective cloud solution for that business if you do not understand how the business process works, right? Most times you might also need to get a domain expert like to help you. If, like I mentioned, maybe a manufacturing organization, you might need to get a manufacturing expert or somebody that understands, like the product owner per se, that can actually help you inform you, okay, this is what we might need for our process. This is going to help you implement it in the system, adapt it to the system, right? So also, there are data analysis skills, very important to have those data analysis skills, being able to evaluate the outcomes you are implementing against a broader business objective. Okay, against a broader business objective, very important, guys. And when you are developing these solutions, you want to make sure that these solutions you are developing, it is clear to understand. It is clear to understand. It's clear. It's a detailed level. It's a detailed step in such a way that people can actually say, okay, this problem, people can actually make reference to what you've done. If you had a particular issue and you solved it in 2023, we should be able to go back to 2023 if we have the same issue this year to say, okay, this was how this was solved in 2023. Can we solve it in the same way? Or do we need to make adjustment? Okay, so very important with document things, and we have a step-by-step procedure as regards, problem solving and technical solutions. Okay, so adaptability, I've spoken about the need for adaptability, change management. Very important to analyze change management. It's very important for you to embrace change. Change is constant. There are so many trends in our world today: quantum cryptography, artificial intelligence, Bitcoin, so many things, blockchain, right? Very important to embrace change and welcome new tools. And okay, for instance, they're saying that some individuals are against generative AI. They'll be like, oh, generative AI is going to take our jobs. But why not think about it in the sense that generative AI might actually help you do your job better, right? We can see that recently there are tools like Copilot and ChatGPT where you can actually be able to like debug your code with these GPT tools, right? So if you embrace change, you can make the change work for you, right? Rather than resisting change. So you shouldn't be resisting change. You shouldn't be archaic in your thinking as regards how you solve a problem. Rather, you should be flexible. Basically, you should be flexible and continuous learning. There's always updates. If I check on the Kubernetes is already releasing new documentations. Same with maybe Microsoft Azure, AWS. They're always releasing new documentations and new courses. But you want to stay updated as regards what exactly. So it's that drive for learning, that's dissatisfaction with the status quo is going to really help you. And like I said, like I've mentioned before about resilience, when you are solving a problem and you can't seem to find a solution to that problem, Resilience. Are you resilient, or do you get angry with everybody around you? Do you have what we call like transferred aggression? When there's a problem with the project, nobody can actually approach you. Or are you somebody that's going to listen to see how this can be done better? Or are you somebody that's going to do what? Reflect? You might want to like reflect and say, okay, maybe I need to sleep over this and think about, maybe we're going to get a solution about this by tomorrow or something like that. So resilience is something we actually need to, so that it's easy for individuals to actually work with you. Okay. So basically, like I said, with cloud today, you are going to be working, when you are working with organizations, you are definitely going to find yourself working, except you are just working in a silo or working remotely, but you would usually have to work with people, cross-functional teams. You can't escape it, basically. So basically, I would like to ask you, how good are you at building relationships with people? How good are you at establishing rapport to people? If you come to a conference like this, how good are you with talking to people, asking them what do you do, introducing yourself? If you have to do something at your work, maybe solve a problem for somebody, how do you crack jokes? Do you make the environment a bit informal? Do you keep, if somebody is tense, for instance, okay, maybe the receptionist calls you, I think I made a mistake in the password and stuff like that. What do you do to calm them down? Or are you like, oh, you've made a mistake and stuff like that? Blame games and stuff like that. All these things, because usually people would really want to work with you if they like you. They like you, then they want to work with you most of the time, right? So very important. And there are this remote collaboration. This is a bit technical in the sense that we have Slack today. There are so many other collaboration materials, collaboration tools that we can actually use today to work remotely for effective team building. But relationship building that I mentioned is so key, and it's something that's really lacking in the IT community, not just in the cloud community, even in the cybersecurity space, things around relationship building, being able to establish rapport and communicate to people and build that relationship with people across organizations, industry and academia, with the government, that relationship building and establishing that trust with people. Very important for people to trust you that you can actually solve the problem. And it comes with what? Reassurance. Being able to reassure people, communicating properly. And critical thinking, like I said, being able to understand business objectives. Business objectives, okay? Every organization has a business objective and budget for everything they want to implement. There's a budget and there's a business objective. And if you are not able to communicate in such a way, because most time the decision makers in your organizations are not going to be technical. That's the truth. The CFO or the CIO or the CIO probably have a cybersecurity background, but say the CEO, for instance, if they don't have a technical background, okay, and they have a budget of maybe £500 million, and you're telling them that they need to procure a software cloud solution of £200 million, why would they do that? If you just tell them that way, if you are not able to relate it with their business objective, how is it going to lead to a bigger bottom line for them? Or you need to have to communicate, how is this procuring this cloud solution that maybe is going to secure us, okay, or employing more people, how is it going to lead to more turnover for us or more dividends for the shareholders? So if you cannot communicate the business language, if you cannot critically think of this in terms of their business impact, how it's going to impact them, then you might not get what you want. You might have all the knowledge, but you might not get what you want, basically. Okay. And like I said, this questioning assumption is closely related to continuous learning. If you continuously learn, then you would always be questioning your assumption, because assumption, of course, is the lowest level of knowledge. Okay. So if you're probably assume that something is a certain way, but if you continuously learn, you keep building your knowledge, and of course, when you keep building your knowledge, it keeps refining the way you do the way you work. It's going to refine the way you work, and you will not be using conventional approaches. And of course, questioning our assumption, when we talk about continuous learning, it talks about also embracing change, right? I talked about the use of AI, of how it can help you do your jobs better. For instance, now AI tools are here to stay. They are not living. They are here to stay. The best thing for you to do would be to learn how to use it, make your work better, right? That's what you're going to do, not to play the ostrich, put your head in the sand like it's going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's here to stay. The companies, the GPT companies, the AI companies, Microsoft, Google, they are all pushing out new update. Just 2 days ago, I think ChatGPT released this image generator that generates this lovely image. It's just like a real life kind of stuff. So how will that help you? So when they make these releases, the first question you must ask is, Not, oh, these guys are going to take my job. No, that's not the question. The question is, how is this going to make me a better IT professional? How is it going to improve my writing? Basically, things like that. Yeah, this is just this is like second to last slide. And in terms of developing soft skills, it's something you must recognize that is important for you. If you do not recognize that is an important thing for you, you are not going to take it seriously. You're not going to, like, for instance, there are some IT professionals that cannot stand and give a public presentation. Yes, they can't stand and give a public presentation. If you are not able to do that, you need to start working on how you can actually start doing that now. Putting yourself out there, what scares you, talking to people, talking to strange people you've not met before, very important. And like I said, since we have diverse experiences, if we have diverse experiences, it means that active listening is a must. You must be able to listen to a variety of opinions. When there is time, when there is when you guys have differing opinions, you must be open to listening to differing opinions, because each individual in your field have different backgrounds. They think differently. They have diverse experiences. And that means like you guys can solve problems differently. Okay. And always seek feedback. I don't know how often your organizations ask for anonymous surveys, feedbacks to see, okay, what can I do better? Ask for feedback. No, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Things like that. It's going to really help. And mentors. Mentors are so important. It's so important to have mentors. If you have if you are lacking, for instance, in terms of public speaking, for instance, and you have a mentor, you have somebody who you see, who is into IT, who is doing exactly what you do, and is also coming out on stage to speak to people, approach them, tell them, okay, how can I apply to speak at this event? I want to share my knowledge. I want to be visible, things like that. And it goes both ways too. If you have these soft skills, and you are approached by a prodigy, like the young upcoming people who are trying to get into the field, please be open to mentoring people. Please be open to mentoring people, because I find that in many fields today, entry level is a big deal. It's very, I don't know how, in terms of the cloud space, I think the entry level might be a bit difficult. But I know for cybersecurity, it's quite a bit challenging for individuals to get entry level roles today. And most of them need mentorship as regards to how they're going to organize their CVs, their personal statement. How do they do follow-ups with recruiters and stuff like that? How do they perform at interview preps? So mentorship goes both ways. It might be you wanting to learn. It might be somebody wanting to learn from you. Please be open either way to communicate when you need help, or be open to helping out when somebody actually needs your help. With that, I would conclude. I would just say that basically human elements has become like extremely important today for us, because except you're only dealing with machines most of the time. But if you're dealing with humans, you need to understand human psychology. You need to understand how to relate with humans, and what is going to help you understand how you're going to relate with humans would be soft skills, presentation skills, public speaking skills, communication skills, your active listening, seeking feedback, introducing yourself to people, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, putting yourself out there, being polite to people, being open to receiving diverse opinions. So basically, I think all this is going to make you well-rounded, not just an expert cloud engineer. It's going to make you more well-rounded cloud engineer. And of course, if you learn how to present, give hand gestures, make eye contact with people, it makes people able to relate with you better. So thank you very much. I think that's the end of my talk. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think I spent about 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite quick. All right. Somebody wants to do some questions to Victor. Okay, going once, going twice.
Easy.
All right, that's a wrap up. Thank you, Victor.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Closing it. Now, what an honor. Yeah.